And here we are, everyone. I'm very excited. Another interview. And we have some folks who are involved in a short film called Reminisce. I recently reviewed it on the YouTube channel, and now I have the pleasure of talking to those involved. So we have Elise Nixon, who she played Diana, correct?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then we have Wayne J., who plays Brian, and the actress who plays his other half, Ashna, who also wrote this story. So thank you all for joining and tuning in. So very excited here. So I guess the first question is for Ashna. Where did the idea for this story come from?
It's loosely based on my personal life. So I am married to someone who is 10 years older, and that's like I think the minimum amount of years that you need in order to qualify as age gap love, I think. Um, and so it stirred some controversy
Sure.
when I first met him. And so that, along with the fact that my grandmother and grandfather's relationship, they met and fell in love, and they had a student-teacher relationship. So I kind of just loosely combined those and exaggerated the age gap to like 25, 30 years because that's a lot more interesting and cinematic. Uh, so there you go.
It's also a little more eye-catching when you read the description and it says 25-year gap. You're like,
Yeah.
really? That is a big gap. But you do have those situations out there, absolutely. Now, Wayne plays Brian, your the husband. And what drew you to Brian? What made you want to take on this role? Because let's say this is a bit of a controversial subject in many circles. So.
It is. It is a bit of fun, but it is a loving marriage, and
Mhm.
anything that has a kind of a loving story to it, happiness and joy, I really appreciate and I'm drawn to. But Ashna claims that, and I believe her. She wrote this part actually for me.
Oh.
We'd been friends for a while and had been creative partners for a while, and she wrote it based on some of my history. I am an aerospace engineer. I do play guitar and sing, a variety of things associated with me. And so I'm very appreciative that she thought of me when putting together this story about her own life.
I have to say, you say you are an actual. I thought it was when I saw it on your Instagram. I'm like, okay, singer songwriter, I get because you get a chance to show those talents on camera. And it said, and I'm a scientist. I'm like, okay, because it's the internet, but that is awesome that you're a man of
And that
many
is
talents.
true. I don't
Yeah,
claim it. It's for a fact, the story.
yeah.
I did write it for Wayne, and I
That's
knew his
awesome.
backstory, and so I kind of put that all into the role of Brian.
That's awesome, and that's fantastic. You did that, and then we have Elisa who plays the fire stoker, if you will, the one the prodder. What made
Yeah,
you
I
want to take on the role of Monica?
well, I mean, the biggest thing was working with these two amazing people. And this is a role that I have never really tackled. It's a, it's definitely a different color for me, so to speak. And I really liked the script. I really believed in sort of what it was about. Thought it was really well written. And I know these two artists have a little bit of history at the time where I was auditioning and have seen some of their work and thought, very highly of both of them, which is like a big
Yeah,
thing. Yeah. And I don't know, are we allowed to swear on this? But
absolutely. You can
okay.
absolutely swear.
Yeah, I would say that Diana is, she's the shit disturber here.
Hmm.
She goes in and she knows everybody's vulnerabilities. She knows what to say. She knows what she's doing.
Well, I mean, can you blame? I mean, Brian is a very charismatic guy. When he starts singing, I'm just like, Okay, I may be swooning a little bit here. I
There's a
don't know.
bit of a swoon situation
It's
going on. Yes.
it was a bit of a swoon situation. Uh, so, Ashna, when writing a script like this, what I liked about it is you don't get a knockdown, drag out fight argument blow like completely blow up in here, but you do build up tension. How do you balance that to write just enough in the dialogue to create the tension? Because it's all characters, there's no special effects or anything, but at the same time, you don't want them to overblow it to where it just seems exaggerated and blown out of proportion.
Yeah, I mean, so Reminisce for me was meant to be a proof of concept.
Mhm.
So the idea was that it doesn't have like the traditional beginning, middle, end.
Sure.
It does in a way, but it's not, it ends on a climax, right? And
Mhm.
so the goal is for people to see it and get a feel for the world, the characters, the relationships, and say, okay, now I know what 90 minutes of this could look like. And so for me, it was more about trying to make sure that everybody still had some level of an arc, or all the characters went through some semblance of a journey, even in that 12 minutes. And I think from a performance standpoint, I give credit to Leslie Morris, who's the director, because she did a great job really bringing out the best performances from each actor. But it also helps that Elisa is incredible and Wayne is obviously very talented, and so is Roger. So it was just nice to have such an incredible cast that brought out a lot of those layers and nuances that I had um, you know,
Mhm.
plan to have in it.
Now, Elisa, for your character, did you draw upon any experiences on your own of people you may have met that, because you drop, when you get in that conversation, and not to spoil too much, but when you drop the barb at the end at her, kind of quietly to her, I was like, okay, that feels like something that you've you've witnessed at least, because it felt way too real.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that as actors, we're kind of always doing that. We're sort of keen observationalists, and we imprint experiences that we've had with people. We imprint different traits of people. And so when there's a script like this, which I felt kind of just had this certain rhythm already innately written in it, it's really kind of when it all comes together like that, it's like very almost I want to say kind of easy
Mhm.
because it's there, and then you draw on something that may not be so tangible, but that you just know that animal, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? And I know a lot of shit disturbers. I am not one of those people, but I know how they operate, and how their psyches work, and it's easy to sort of infuse that when you see
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
And likewise with the Brian character Wayne, I being a husband, I connected because you and Roger, you guys are just guys, and you're just like, we're just trying to catch up, and you got the two ladies kind of just, and you're just like, yeah, how about that game? Yeah. So how about you? Did you draw upon personal experiences of being in awkward situations to kind of draw upon that as well?
Oh, absolutely. So everyone's been in these awkward situations. Everyone's seen people go at it, and so you have to decide what is your how are you going to participate in this, if at all, and what's going to happen. And so the brilliance of the script actually gave Roger and I some room to play in there with these two going at it the way they are. What is our position about this emerging drama? How do we deal with it? And having the backstory that we were old college buddies, and being able to non-verbally, Roger and I play off each other while this is going on, was an amazing play set for us to be in. And so it was the amazing script, the backstories, and the performances around us that enabled Roger and I to just be in the moment, and be in that awkward place that we never ever want to be in. But it's just so enjoyable when you're just playing.
Yeah, you want some chips? Yeah, let's get some chips from the other room. Yeah, all
Right,
right.
exactly. Yeah, another beer, maybe
Yeah, another beer,
something.
sure. And now, Ashna, you work in A bit at the beginning, especially, and the backstory for your character with with her family, and some kind of cultural traditions or mindsets as well. I think some people don't realize that those are still around today, and you kind of introduce that, but you don't go too heavy into it, but you allude to it. What was your decision with that of not going too heavy, but still giving enough?
Because you should save it for the future.
There you go.
Like,
Sure.
but no, also because I really, again, I think it's tricky, right? So some of it was budgetary constraints,
Sure.
production restraints. So in my perfect world, we would have probably shot like a flashback scene to the actual family, and you could see like what that dynamic was like right before she ran off and got married to Brian, and now they're estranged. But just because of what we had and what we tried to fit in 2 days, that was not an option. So I kind of had to creatively find a way to still introduce that. And I haven't had the opportunity to speak Hindi that often in
Mm.
films. And so it was something that I just wanted to be able to insert. So I did it in a way that it was through a phone call and a voiceover flashback. And but it still gives you the idea that something is wrong and that she is distant from her family, and then you start realizing why that happened, why that separation. But fun fact, that family frame photo is actually my real family. In a special cameo, and they didn't realize that. So yeah, that was interesting because I don't actually have a sister in real life. I have a cousin, and I was like, okay, this is perfect. This is the picture I'm going to use. So she is family, but yeah, I didn't have an actual. Yeah.
And have they seen it, and what did they think of their cameo?
My parents were actually surprisingly like totally fine with it. And some of my family members who have seen it, they actually thought it was very sweet. They were like, "Oh, it was really nice to see your fan, like to see them in it." So yeah, it was cute.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I thought it was very fitting. And uh, I would question for both Brian and Elisa. We'll start with Brian. You're shooting in 2 days. You have your characters. I've been on an indie set. I know how crazy that can be. How do you prepare yourself for the character you're playing to not feel rushed when you're in front of the camera, but realizing we've only got 2 days to do this?
Right, and it's compounded by actually having other roles in the production
Right.
as well.
Mhm.
So hoping to do a variety of things. But we had the luxury, the opportunity to do several rehearsals beforehand. So we're able to meet with, if not all four of us, at least three of us, Roger and Elisa and myself, to build up that old friend
Mhm.
kind of that relationship and flesh that out. And so the acting and the story, the scenes themselves were they were in our bodies.
Mhm.
There was nothing to be concerned about there, and it was just everything else around it in 2 days. That's the way things are on set. So it's
Right.
like another day at the office, but fortunately had all of that preparation. We had the opportunity to work with such wonderful creatives, and so there was no nervousness. There wasn't any real concern about being able to pull this off because I think we had confidence in each other.
Nice. What about you, Elisa? How'd you prepare for shooting in
I
two
mean,
days?
I was nervous. But I tend nervous, so I trend nervous. But I agree with everything Wayne said. I've come from theater. I'm a dancer. I love rehearsing. When the production team and the director, Leslie and Ashna, offered that as an option to all of us, it's like always a big emphatic heck yeah, because not only are you like getting the rhythm of what's going on in your body, but you're also establishing, as Wayne so beautifully put, like that connection, that history with each other, that, a root three people that don't really know each other very well, that are supposed to have intimate, you know, past together, can sort of lay the groundwork for. So, it's like that, all that stuff helps. And then, then you're on the set and everything. There 10 times more people than you expect. And you got to do a lot of deep breathing, and you just trust. Trust is a lot of it too. And
Mhm.
I think also just really listening to each other and really playing off of each other and what you have in front of you. What is that person giving me to then, say what I need to say in this way, or what is it that I want from this person, sort of all that actory stuff.
All that acting stuff. And it kind of works out because you three got to build a relationship, and then Ashna's kind of the outsider because they've grown, they've had a few rehearsals in that, but now so
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, Ashna would definitely, I think the vibe I remember on that day too, because Ashna also is wearing all these hats, and playing this amazing part. And I remember all of it, like her sort of she felt the whole time to me that my shoot day, like she was kind of on the perimeter watching in a way. Yeah.
did that help with your character, Ashna?
Yeah, I think in Leslie made an interesting call where she was like, you know what, I want to have separate rehearsals with Wayne, Roger, and Elisa, and I want to build that, and I think it's best if you're not present during those. And I said, you know what, that's honestly great. In my case, I was also traveling for another film that was in the summer, so it actually timing wise it worked out because I just couldn't be there anyways. But so I didn't really know
Mhm.
what all the work that she had done, with the three of these actors. And so when we were on set, and I was not, if I wasn't getting my hair and makeup done, or if I wasn't running around doing producing stuff, I was trying to slowly kind of watch a little bit to see what's happening. But yeah, it did help, I think, because the three of them really did develop this kinship, and it really felt so natural when you watch them on screen, the chemistry that the three of them have. And then I think for Wayne and I, myself, like for us, Leslie had separate rehearsals for just the two of us to work out our, chemistry, because that's something that's also really important, is how can we showcase that we've been married for 10 years, even though we're going to be on set just for 2 days. So, so that was something that she also scheduled with us separately.
So how much, because I've been doing this long enough, I know things change on set. How much, especially with you not being the director, how much of
Yeah.
your script made it into the film, and how much ended up having to get changed?
Surprisingly, not much.
Mhm.
I think it's because when Leslie came on, the script was already, I mean, we didn't really make any
Sure.
changes
Mhm.
that much. I think there might have been a couple like small line tweaks here and there, but it wasn't anything major. So for the most part, the film followed it. I think what ended up happening that was a little bit different was there's this additional, like the montage scene ended up
Right.
being a bigger exploration, and we spent more time on it on set than originally in the script. In the script, it was just like their glasses clink and eating some cheese and like let's move on. Like I had written like small little like bullet points, I think. And so it was, and then but the reality was that there was performing. Wayne
Sure.
had created two original songs for it, and so that was a surprise when I showed up, and I was like, "Whoa, I didn't know about this." But it was a good addition, I think. I think it was just a matter of like how much do we keep of it
Sure.
in the final cut, because we don't want also people to with shorts it's so tricky because
Right.
every minute is
Mhm.
honestly, every second is so important, because otherwise if it drags too long, people get bored. And so it was just finding that right balance of like how much do we show of that history. But I thought it worked out.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would mind Wayne singing a few more songs. That's all.
I know, right? Everybody could just listen to him. It's just, yeah, it's so beautiful.
And I mean that honestly. When you pulled out the guitar, I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay, which way is this going to go? Will this be overdubbed with someone else's? Or then I noticed that it was the Nat sound, and I'm like, oh no, he's actually playing and singing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was nice to have the opportunity to just play and sing on
Sure.
the day, and
Mhm.
Scott, the sound guy, was amazing. Just being able to capture that, which is hard to do, frankly. And when you're making a movie, how do you do music that's happening right there? And we just did it. So I feel very fortunate to have had that opportunity, and also to be surrounded with such amazing filmmakers that it could come across.
Yeah,
And that's something I wanted to dovetail on something that Elisa said
Sure.
earlier about Ashna's sets that she assembles. I think anyone that has worked with Ashna in any of her sets wants to come back and work with her again, because as we mentioned, it can be nerve-wracking to be on set, but rarely with something that Ashna's put together, because it's just such an amazing family and team that she's able to assemble each time, even with different people, and folks want to come back and work with her. And I'm very appreciative that I had that opportunity.
And that's go ahead.
I was just gonna say thank you. It's such a sweet thing to say.
And that's important in indie cinema. I mean, you see it a lot. I think people don't realize once you get a crew together that you really like, or a producer that you really like to work with, you tend to jump at the chance to work with them again. And so that's why you see a number of actors and directors usually paired together in the indie scene. And the fact that you guys had that environment, that's great. Especially, you know, I know the job of the producer. And so, Ashna, how do you stay in character, and you're the editor, so you're like, this is my script, and you're producing, which I don't think people really understand what a producer does until you talk to someone who has produced a film, and you realize, oh, that's why they accept the Academy Award when it's Best Picture on screen.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. I think
Mhm.
it just comes with practice. I think with each one, I think sometimes it's a lot of it comes down to rehearsals. I think for me, having those rehearsals was really helpful, because otherwise when I'm on set, for the most part, I'm in producer mode. Like I'm only in actor mode when Leslie's like, "Hey, we need you," and I'm sitting, and then it's like, "Action, okay, go," and then but it's like it's interesting, and of course, in my perfect world, I think I would love to just be in actor mode for
Sure.
like 2 full days on set and not have to think about anything else, but until I can expand and have that luxury, for now I'm gonna just have to wear all those hats. But I think it makes it easier when you have such an incredible crew and cast, right? Like I think it all comes down to the team that you surround yourself with, and it helps that they're all so talented and they're all very good on their own, that that competence is something that you can rely on, you know? So outside of like emergencies or random things that that pop up that I need to attend to, for the most part, like, but I feel like I try and get as much of that legwork done so that I can relieve myself of some of those duties, like when I'm actually on set. But it is a challenge. I mean, that's why I can't watch myself. Like anytime I watch myself and reminisce, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Did
I'll
I
go
do
out in the
it?
lobby. I'm going to be out in the lobby. You guys just tell me when it's done, right?
Because I feel like I have to trust that, you know, when if Leslie needs another take, or if she
Mhm.
doesn't need another take, that she is satisfied with what I've done, because I cannot myself judge it as well when I'm acting and producing and writing on the same set.
Sure. Yeah, you're wearing many hats. Elisa, did you have to wear some other hats besides actress on it? Or were you
I'm
able to be talent?
embarrassed to say, because these two are such like amazing, multitaskers, and I'm a really good multitasker, but I was not multitasking on
Mhm.
this set. I had the luxury of just you know,
Sure.
being my character. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that either. No, you get to be in character, and your
And
character too is no shame. There's no shame in that. It's the shame of if they ask you and you go, "No, I'm the actress." No,
yeah,
no. Then
I
then
wouldn't
there
do
can be some shame. But if they say, "Hey, could you help me with this gaffer's tape?" You'll be like, "Yeah, sure, okay." You
that, of
know.
course. Yes. And also, it is a great opportunity too. It was for me, because it's really interesting to watch all of these incredibly talented people do what they're expert at doing, and
Mhm.
how that collaboration comes together to make, a film like this that's had, such a huge success. with, all a lot of short film festivals. So, it's also like a huge learning process
Sure.
to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've even heard veterans say that every film's an experience and a learning experience, and you learn something. If you didn't learn something from while you were making it, then you weren't working hard.
Yeah, you were at the wheel.
Speaking of multiple hats, Wade, what about you? Were you able to focus on just your role, or did they have you doing other things as well?
Oh, primarily on the role,
Mhm.
and so I was fortunate in this case to be mostly working on Brian,
Sure.
and writing a couple original songs, doing
Hmm.
the performing, but also the acting. Uh, I have had more of a role in other parts of filmmaking in subsequent projects with Ashna and with some others, and so I'm wearing more hats as time goes on. I think my neck is sore from trying to keep them all balanced. It is not fun, but it is so worthwhile. It is
See,
it.
I love that you said
And
that.
I think everyone trauma bonds
Yeah.
over every project, and so building that family is one of the best things about this entire industry.
And I just love that you said that because so many people, it's like you ask any filmmaker, so how do I get into filmmaking? And they go do something else because making a film is such a challenge. Not just, whether you're acting or doing stuff behind the scenes, it is such a big challenge. And then to get something completed, even a short film, to get it completed and in festivals, I have mad respect for that. Even if there's a short or whatnot I might not like, I have respect for that talent because all of you, especially for a short film, you're working under a small amount of time, and to get it completed and together and out there is more work than I think people realize, which I'm sure you all could attest to. So, Elisa, let's start with you. What made you want to be an actress?
Oh, wow. Well, I started out as a dancer actually from
Mm,
the time I was 3 years old, and I basically never stopped dancing. I did musicals for years, and at a certain point, I felt like what I was really doing with my dance was telling a story,
mm,
the story of the music. And I started really shifting the way I was actually dancing because of that. And I was like thinking of things more in a narrative way.
sure.
And it just like opened up this whole other part of my artistic endeavor. I started taking acting classes, and I was like, well, this is what I really want to do. So one of the things I do that I love is I incorporate my dance into my acting when it's possible to do that. And it's kind of one of those things where when I get to do it, when I get to be an actress on a set like this set, I can't believe I get paid to do it. Like this is, just is like such a incredible experience, even in its hardships. So yeah, that's kind of a little tidbit of my story.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Wayne? Because you astrophysicist, musician. I think I'll just try this acting thing. I mean, how did you get into it?
Well, I actually was very interested in filmmaking as a teenager, and I was
Mm,
in
mhm,
theater in high school. But when it's time to come to college, I had a choice, and I remember this in my head. I could pursue science and engineering, which was interesting to me,
sure.
and act on the side as a hobby, or I could become an actor or filmmaker and not eat. And so I chose the former. And so I've been in and out of, I've been doing theater my whole life. So
Sure.
community theater, in the evenings, you can do that with a full-time job. It can happen. And when I had a family and couldn't do that, spend the time, I was in and out of cover bands
Mm,
for 20 years. And so I was always performing in some capacity. And then once my aerospace engineering life ended a few years ago, I thought, let's move more into film and television, less theater, more film and television, and really focus on this because it's a passion of mine. And I feel very fortunate to be in a position now where I can do that.
That's awesome. And are you keeping an eye on the alien craft that's in our universe right now? That
Yeah, it's not an alien craft. The headlines look amazing.
I know,
Stories can
I
be written
know.
about it. But yeah, science reporting in this country and across the world, this is ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Science is amazing.
Mhm.
It's incredible how far we've come, and it's also incredible how much science illiteracy there is
Mhm.
in the world, particularly this country. Anyway, it's not an alien craft,
No,
as far as
no,
we
it's not.
know.
No, it's
Yeah,
not. But I just that's why when I saw that you were talking about it, I'm like, I gotta ask that because
it is
no,
fascinating though. It
it is.
really is. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I mean, I started off college with to be a marine biologist, and I
Oh.
left a video production major, and I went into IT for my day job. So there you go. That's how that works, right?
But you still have that passion for storytelling, that passion for films, which is infectious.
Oh, thank you, Ashna. What about you? I mean, not just actress, but producing, directing, wearing these hats. I mean, what made you want to take this on?
Well, I think my first love has always been acting, and I think it will forever be that way. I wasn't allowed to pursue it.
Mm.
I wanted to do it since I was a kid. So I had to wait until I was old enough to be able to kind of just tell my parents I'm going to LA. Um, and but otherwise, in terms of natural storytelling, I would say my life is very similar to Elisa's because I grew up performing as a dancer on stage.
Mm.
So that was something that I also did my whole life, all through college. And then when I graduated, I did, and even around that time, I was doing pageants through college. So then I was also performing that way through dance as my talent. So I think just in general, like storytelling was something that was always present, but I couldn't quite make my way in acting just because of my family. So once I was old enough, then I moved to LA and I've been pursuing it ever since. The directing and I don't direct anymore. I've done it enough to realize I don't like it. I don't want to do it. There's plenty of talented directors out there who love it, and so they should go for it. And then as for writing, I think it just came naturally. It was something that in COVID, I was always a strong writer growing up, but not necessarily as screenplays, just as a like it was more in the world of academia.
Sure.
And then once COVID happened, I was like, great, I don't have anything to do. I guess I'll just start writing. So I basically wrote, directed, and produced a 14-episode anthology web series,
Nice.
all remote virtually through COVID. And I brought a bunch of actors and people that I knew, editors, composers, and we just kind of created this community while we were in lockdown. And so from that, I realized that I do love writing. So that's, stayed. And then producing, I don't love, but I'm really good at it.
It was a thing I did, but
Something that came
yeah.
out of necessity because otherwise films don't get made, you
Sure.
know? And so I think that's the joy that I ultimately get after I do it is seeing it on the big
Sure.
screen and seeing everybody's talent shine through. And then of course, like Wayne, I'm sure he hasn't complained about it. He was very sweet in the way he said it, but I've been kind of roping him in to do more.
That's how that works. That's how that works when you know someone in working in indie cinema and stuff that you just end up, okay, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go.
I was
You
like,
bet.
okay, actually, can you help with this? Can you help with
Yeah,
that?
yeah, sure. Okay, fine. And I guess one of my last questions for each of you will start with you, Ashna. Biggest influence.
Oh my gosh. Um,
It doesn't have
well,
to be just one. It could be in general because every time I ask this, it's always great because there's a lot of people who have more than one. So, but what would you say biggest influence for you?
I mean, Steven Spielberg. I think the
Hmm.
greatest movie of all time is Jurassic Park, and I just can't. Yeah, I think he's just watching movies and he created, in my opinion, what it is that's so magical about filmmaking, whether it was through Jaws or through E.T. or through any of his movies. So yeah, I think Steven Spielberg.
Nice. And I will call Steven Spielberg a horror director because he seems to really enjoy those projects the most. Jurassic
Yeah.
Park, I know they say thriller, but I'm like, no, that's a horror movie. I mean, let's get down to brass tacks. That's a horror movie there, and Jaws and E.T. can even be a bit scary. I know it
Yeah,
was when
E.T. was a bit scary when I was a
E.T.'s a
kid.
scary
Yeah.
movie. So,
Yeah.
what about you, Wayne? Biggest influence for you creatively?
Creatively, I think it has to be my cousin Jim.
Hmm,
So I mentioned wanting to be a filmmaker or making short films with a Super 8 movie camera
sure.
back in the day. It was my cousin and I. His name is Jimmy Man Clark. He's an incredible actor, much better actor than I'll ever be. And he's had some success in the Northeast doing some theater. But he's always been, I think, one of the best actors I've worked with, and we had an opportunity to be in some shows together when I was doing theater, which still warm my heart when I think of acting on stage with him, and had a chance to see him pretty recently, which was good. We don't see each other nearly often enough, but yeah, I think he's always kind of an inspiration for me.
Awesome. Awesome. And Elisa, what about you?
Well, I would say early was just like pretending I was sick so that I could stay home from Sunday school to watch Shirley Temple.
Oh, nice. Nothing wrong. No, that's nothing
Um,
wrong with that being an influence. Absolutely.
but that was like, that my dad, I remember taking me when I was super young to go see a chorus line and,
Mm,
just knowing that I wanted to be there, and then, aside from that, I feel like it's just collected experiences and like a fascination with people, a fascination with stories, that, every life has an incredible story that I find fascinating. And so that, that inspires me the most.
awesome. That's a great inspiration. All of them. Great. And this has been a great conversation. Thank you very much. Ashna, what's next for Reminisce? Where's it playing next? What's going on with it in the near future?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So we hit the festival circuit in July. We had a world premiere at LA Shorts, and so we are now 17 festivals in. And in mid-December, second weekend of December, we're going to be screening in LA at the City of Angels Film Festival, and we're also going to be in Anchorage at the Alaska Film Festival. So that's really exciting. It's going to be the same weekend. So, and then we also have another Hollywood screening, also, I think that same week. So we have two chances left to see it in LA for this year, and then one in Alaska. And then as of next year, we'll see how the circuit goes, but that'll put us at 20 in
Awesome.
months or 5 months. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. That's really good.
And I'd like
And
to add that
yeah.
Elisa actually won Best Actress in one of the festivals
Oh,
this past
congratulations,
month.
Elisa.
At Show in
Well,
Arizona.
I'm more curious about your upcoming role, Elisa, as Tinkerbell in
Oh my God, you've done your research.
I do my research.
Yeah. I'm excited about that too. Again, something not in my normal wheelhouse. It's an incredible film. It's called Before Never, and it's right now it's got distribution. They're just doing the last touches, and it's a pretty crazy, like really interesting sort of psychological thriller retelling of the Peter Pan story. So I'm not your typical like Disney Tinkerbell. Just put it that way.
Nice, nice. Well, all these classic stories are becoming public domain and Disney can't stop it. And so now you're just getting all of these interesting stories, mostly horror because horror sells, but just interesting takes on fairy tales. And what about you, Wayne? You've got some voice acting coming up on a project, don't you?
I've done a variety of voice acting
Hmm.
and a lot of podcasts and narrative
Sure.
podcast characters, and that's a lot of fun. But the thing that's keeping me busy most are I mentioned I'm now a creative partner with Ashna on a variety of projects, and we have 3 short films in post production
Wow.
right now, including the most recent one, which I directed. So I
Oh,
had an
nice.
opportunity to do a number of things, and so that's what's really keeping
Oh,
us busy.
y-
One other thing that's interesting is this past year I had an opportunity to tour with My Chemical Romance, and so I had
oh,
able to
wow.
perform not vocally or on
Sure.
guitar, but just as part of their show, I'm able to perform with them, which has been an incredible experience to be on a stadium tour with a major rock band.
And I think one of my friends may have probably been at one of the concerts that you were at. So there you go. Because I know a
It,
number of friends who've seen. I'm seeing My Chemical Romance, and so
I may have been there.
you probably were there. So thank you all very much, everyone. Keep an eye out for Reminisce. Ashna, where can they keep up with where it's going, where it's at? Is there a website, or go ahead and plug whatever you'd like.
Yeah, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram on Reminisce the short film.
Awesome. Fantastic. So there you have it, folks. Links down below for everybody's social medias as well. I'll get those from you folks later. And yeah, thank you again for this great conversation. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you,
Thank
Mark.
you so much, Mark.